I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at villageXchange@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
Yes. We're on to our next song. The next one is Uriah Heep.
Uriah Heep.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's the one after the one we're doing. Jerry Cantrell, Brighten.
Oh my goodness. Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive.
What was that? That was just you being lazy.
No, I had put the timestamp here, and so I was thinking it was with the next one, but forget about it. It doesn't really matter, and it doesn't matter what you think. You're rude.
It actually doesn't matter what I think.
Anyway, so that's the next one on is Jerry Cantrell, Brighten, and you said who is he?
He's a guy. He's a guitarist from Alice in Chains.
Oh, okay.
How could you not know
Here we
that?
go. Open link and new tab so we can see these lyrics. Ready?
Unbelievable. You're so weird sometimes,
Well,
I swear.
you know.
All right, guys.
Do what you can.
Here we go. Brighten, Jerry Cantrell. Did he say he had the lyrics there?
I wonder if this is going to be happy sounding.
I've
got the lyrics right here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did so good. All you have to do is click the link. Boom. Lyrics come up. I was like, hallelujah.
Let's go.
Ready, go.
And
Interesting.
A lot of people were commenting, and I agree that he sounds like the late great Lane Staley. You know, the original singer in the band?
Well, yeah, that's what everybody was saying. I'm just not familiar enough to be able to...
We've done like 8 of their songs.
Yeah, I know, but honey, when they're in the midst of all kinds of... Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, I said,
That's
him and Billy Corgan had like the most like immediately recognizable voices to me in rock or metal. Like, you know, Billy Corgan, that guy. Mm-hmm. And the singer, Lane Staley, and I feel bad starting off talking about Lane because it's Jerry Cantrell, but what can you do? Because I think the song is probably about Lane, actually. But Lane had this disembodied ghost spirit kind of vibe to his vocal style. And
wow, what
you could
interesting
tell, like, the producers started to figure it out, and they would add these echo effects and things like that. It just sounded, you know, when they would layer it in post-production. But, like, it just sounded like he was already gone, and he was, like, coming from, like, another dimension.
Oh, wow.
Talking about why he was gone, pretty much. And you have guys that are prophetic about their death. Biggie was prophetic about his death. Pac was. Kurt was, obviously. But nobody sounded like they were a ghost. Like Lane, he just sounded like a ghost to me. And maybe I'm reading that into it because I understood how he ended up. But like I said, there's Pac, Big, all these other people that predicted their deaths in their music. And, you know, it never hit me that way. Where'd it go?
Under the desk. Just leave it. We'll get it after.
Oh, it didn't go under the desk. It went right here.
Oh, excellent.
Go ahead.
I was a little bit confused about what the song was about. And I couldn't stop thinking about ants when it said magnifiers turn your sunshine to hell.
I thought that was pretty brilliant.
What's he talking about? Like, he said, solemn drifter, you have your days and all these wonders never took away your pain. So it sounds like the person was wandering around seeing all, the 7 wonders or however many wonders there are.
Lane Staley, he died of a drug overdose. And they were on tour together seeing all these amazing things, but nothing could take his pain away. Then it says magnifiers turn your sunshine to hell, which I'm assuming is drugs. Because, you take a magnifying glass and the sun is good, but then you put the magnifying glass like on yourself basically, and now you're in hell. And so like drugs, you could look at it as it's a way of self-medication. Or you could look at it as it's something that's used to enhance something else. So, for example, like if you have a little wine or champagne at a celebration, like, we were watching Michael Jordan win and they're throwing their champagne after they prayed or whatever. That works, right? Like that magnifies the happiness. And alcohol is a drug. It's an active ingredient that changes your consciousness. It's a drug. So, in that sense, drugs do function that way. They do function sometimes to magnify a celebration. But when it gets abused, the magnifier turns your sunshine to hell. I just thought that was a brilliant line.
You're right. Yeah.
That was a really, really brilliant line. And I'm not sure, I don't know enough about these guys, but I'm not sure that they've publicly or maybe in their own spirits reconcile themselves to the death of their brother, because it must be I talk a lot. I'm like, we're always in the same vicinity with one another. Like we're like 2-3 feet. Like these guys are on a tour bus together.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like and now he's gone. And you're out there touring. It's funny because we walked right past Jerry Cantrell when we went to go backstage at Korn.
You always point people out. I'm like, what?
We walked right.
That was so and so. That was so and so.
He was eating his lunch or whatever in the back room or whatever. And,
really?
Yeah, we walked right by. I was just so like, oh my god, I'm going to be on stage with Korn.
The first person you did that with was from Neo, the blonde guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were like, that's a... And he says it so casually. Okay, I have to tell this story. When I went to Latvia on that mission trip...
Yep.
There was one guy that was on the trip, and he was the most passive man I've literally ever met in my friggin' life. But he was so passive, he didn't even get... Like, I don't like passive guys. I find that to be very annoying if you don't have some, like, you know, fight to you. But he was so passive that he got put in, like, some other category to me, and he didn't annoy me. And so he was like... He came out of the house that we had 2 separate houses. He was in the one house. He comes... you know, sauntering, I guess you could say, out of the house. And he said, literally, this is how he's talking. The washing machine is on fire. He said it like that. I said, what? It's on fire? And so we all went running, and then we like basically shoved him out of the way and ran in. Literally, the thing was on fire. There was black smoke everywhere.
Why gotta be black smoke?
Because, I mean...
Go ahead.
I'm going to stop there. I could have bantered back, but I don't want to banter back in public. Anyway, so yeah, like the thing was legit on fire. There was a ton of black smoke inside the house. Like, it wasn't a good situation. And I kept asking him, I said, Bixie. That wasn't his real name, it was a nickname. I said, Bix, why were you so calm in the situation? How can you be, who says there's a fire that calmly? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And so I don't remember how I was going to tie that into this.
Magnifiers turn your sunshine to hell?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, well. There's your story for the night. I can't remember.
All right.
It was about, I know it had to do something with being passive, but whatever. Carry on.
Maybe you felt he was being there. Oh, because I was pointing out famous people to you. That's when you went off on the rabbit trail.
Oh, right, yeah. So, like, he points out all these famous people. We'll be, like, on the sidewalk, and he'll be like, it's so casual when you say it. Yes, we've been on the sidewalk many times. When we saw the blonde guy, we were walking to go find something to eat.
At the rock show.
Yes, but we were where? Where were we?
Waiting outside the building.
On what?
Yeah,
go ahead, babe.
You're making it sound like there's many times where you and I are just walking on a sidewalk and I just point out famous people.
Yeah, then we were in Cali. It happened multiple times. We were walking. Yes, I know we're there for an event. But anyway, so he just points them out. It's like...
I said, that's a guitarist at OTEP. You're like, no, it's not. I'm like, I guarantee you that's a guitarist. No, it's not. I'm like, how are you going to tell me?
I mean, I don't believe... What?
OTEP.
From You mean Neo?
No.
Oh, okay. At NAMM. Yeah, I don't believe I argued with him. That doesn't even make any sense.
He did. We bet on everything. And then after, yeah, and then I had to go to him and I said, hey, you're the guitarist from OTEP, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, she just lost. We had a big laugh about it.
I probably did that just for the fun of it. Because I don't really know. Like, you point them out, and some of these people, like, when they put their music videos together, they look like super cool people. And then you meet them and you're like, they're just a regular person. Right?
Yeah.
You see them in person, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, anyway. There's Rob Ninkovich racing his son.
You always do this, and you say it so, like, calmly that it's not even like, you know, you see these girls screaming for the Beatles, and all, you're just like, hey, there goes whoever. Anyway, people have made a bigger deal to see us, YouTubers, than you've made to see some of these big, giant, famous people.
I know.
Anyway.
Well, it was at the Neo show. I'm like, you do realize the guy's right there. You want to talk to us? I'm like, okay. Now you find yourself...
no, we were at Better Angels, but you don't pray.
No, he says, time you leave this place you know oh so well. That's immediately I was like, okay, that's about Lane. And then it says Brighten, which is interesting because maybe he's looking at Brighten as in, you know, when a person dies, they go into the light. Mm-hmm. So you got this friend that's miserable. He can never be happy no matter what he gets. And... you know, to Detroit's Motor City basically said they fought a lot because he didn't want to like watch him slowly die.
Oh my God, that's awful.
And I do think there's like some sort of relief. There's some sort of relief when the death finally occurs, and you could say, okay, I don't have to watch you die anymore. Like I know you're dead. I'm not on the roller coaster anymore. I know you're gone. And
yeah, but I think that even that relief gets overcome by the giant wave of, like, I saw some, I've seen it multiple times with people. Of course, now I'm talking from my circle. but my circle of people, but I'll see them say, like, if they have somebody that's sick and the person is, they'll get to a point where they're like, I just want them to rest, I just want them to be at peace, and then the person dies and they say, you know, they're better off, blah blah blah, and then within X amount of time they're on there saying, I just wish I could bring them back and that they were still here and I could take care of them like I were, even though they're thoroughly exhausted from caring for the person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think there's a difference between like somebody's dying of cancer and going through chemo, doing everything they can, versus a person who's actively destroying themselves and slowly dying that way. That's a different kind of situation, because you're both fighting to stay here, to keep this person here. Meanwhile, you're fighting against the person who wants to go. That's completely different. And you know, because I know I had a family member that was in that situation, and you know, I've told this story many times. Like, I had that conversation with her, and then after I got done the conversation, I texted you. I was like, I'm never going to speak to her again. She's going to die. And I was right. But as far as her, like, I'm relieved that she's no longer in the situation that she's in. I am. Would I have liked for her to see Orion and Raising and you? Of course. Right? Like, that's a dichotomy. But I am very relieved that that's over. And that, you know, because it's a horrible roller coaster ride. It's really, really terrible. So I'm assuming Brighten there in that context probably means Brighten as in for Lane, as in, you know, going into the light, and then simultaneously for him, you kind of can move on with your life now. Because that's the thing with addicts. Like, I hate to say it this way, but their life begins to consume you. And you get sucked into the darkness of the attic because you have to go into that dark place where you think you do to try to rescue them from it. But they don't want to be, you know, rescued, a lot of them. So it brightens him to some degree too. So now he can look at the future, because now that question is over. Whether or not you can save your brother, it's over. The question's over. He's gone. So now go forward with your life. So I'm taking Brighten to be for him and for Lane.
Well, if he says Brighten, and then he says better angels, you know how people will talk about, like, they think that when you die you become an angel? And
yes.
But then he says, but you don't pray. Then he says, push back on the darkness in which you damn well like to play.
Well, there's a quote in, I don't know if it's a Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln. And it starts out, we're not enemies but friends. And then he said something about appealing to the better angels of our nature. So I'm assuming that the better angels there was Lane saying, not Lane, Jerry saying to Lane, you had it in you to fight this thing, but you wouldn't do it. You allowed yourself to get subsumed into darkness, even though you had a better version of yourself, was what I'm assuming. So the term better angels of our nature has come to mean like the good side of humanity. Because Lincoln was writing that during the Civil War. So if you look at it, better angels, but you don't pray. Push back on the darkness in which you damn well like to stay. So saying, you had the better angel inside of you, but you chose the darkness, and you wouldn't push back. And I don't want to be hard on... actually, it's play, not stay.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't want to be hard on addicts, but...
both words work, I think.
It is true. Like, you are actively making that choice at the expense of everybody around you. Like, and I know it's a horrible thing to say, but it's got to be said. Like, it's an incredibly selfish thing. And I understand, I comprehend the nature of addiction. I can't comprehend that nature of that addiction. Because, like, you know, I was in, you know, I had certain habits, you know, what is it, 3 months now? I don't know. And I'm like, this is not conducive to running a small business and whatever. Like, I got to have my mind completely sure. So I stopped cold turkey and never did it again. And it's still around me, and I have no inclination. I don't struggle. Oh my gosh, like none. I woke up and I said, that's that, and that was it. And I never did it again. I'll probably never do it again for the rest of my life. Like, that's it. So I understand that that's not everybody's experience, and I'm not going to say, oh, I did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, it's a massively selfish thing, and we've earned the right because we've had to bury these people. You've earned the right to say that. So like I understand. Like I you know.
Yeah.
Nobody's out here trying to condemn people or whatever. But at the same time, it's like.
Well, I think that it has
you are
to be...
choosing that chemical and the feeling it gives you over your family. You are doing that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say because I think there's a lot of voices out there that talk about how serious addiction is and how difficult it is to break from certain chemicals, and certain addictions are almost nearly impossible to break. And when it's talked about, it really does sound like that's a death sentence. Once you take it once, it's over. Like almost like you cannot make any decisions past that. It's just
the chasing the dragon thing.
Yeah, but hearing, you know what I mean, like you saying that and seeing that from the people too, that no, they went out and made that decision, and what it looked like when people said, you know what, I'm not gonna play with this anymore. You know, like it says in the song, I'm not doing it. And when people made that decision, like there was times. There was a girl, she had a couple kids, well, one kid at the time, and stuff was not good where she was living, what she was doing, everything was just a friggin' mess. And I wanted to save her from that situation so badly. And I thought, well, maybe she just doesn't know the first place to start. And so I was setting up so much stuff for her, you know, at the expense of my own family, because I was bringing her all over the place, making phone calls, doing all this stuff. And I literally, she had already burned bridges that I had to go remake for her. And then when I went over there, like she was supposed to stay at this certain location for help and get X amount of help from them, but she didn't like that she had to get up early in the morning.
Is that a 4-letter name?
She didn't like that she had to get up early in the morning, so she left. She left she didn't even stay the night there. She left. And I'm like, are you serious? And then that was... You know, I had seen a couple situations, but that to me was kind of like a turning point for me when I said, I'm not doing this again. I'm not setting up everything for people when they don't make that. She was not making that decision. I was dragging her because I wanted it so badly for her, but she didn't want it like that.
Addicted to chaos, that girl.
Yeah, she didn't want it like that. And then I saw other people that said, you know, that the one that, you know, he was very serious. He was ready to make some changes, and he stayed at that place and he made the changes, and, you know.
And then he died.
Yep. But he stayed out of it for a really long time, but...
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's hard to...
I mean, he was out for like 5 years.
He had 2 girls, man.
Wasn't he done for like... It was 5 years.
It was close to 5 years, yeah. Yeah, he was a counselor there, you know? He had two little girls, man, that were depending on him, and he went off and did that.
He still has 2 little girls. They just don't have him, and now they have to live life
That's what I'm saying.
without him.
That's fucking selfish as hell, man. You're choosing that chemical feeling over all that. And again, like I it's got to be said at times. It's got to be said. You know? So, and he even talks about it. He says you're going to only reap what you sow.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, and I think as a survivor, because a lot of times people look at the addict and want to coalesce around the addict and help the addict, and nobody wants to really care about the survivor or help the survivor. Mm-hmm. But what people don't realize is that phrase, you reap what you sow, is so important for a survivor of that to say, because they always inevitably blame themselves. Even with Sean, I was like, fuck. If I would have been there, blah, 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 blah. Like, you immediately go back into caretaker mode when you hear somebody dies that way. And so it's very important to say, nah, bro, you reap what you sow, man.
That's interesting because I don't do that in that situation. Like, I'm upset about it, but I don't, because especially that one, because he was clear for so long and he knew how bad it could get, and he knew how bad it could get for him.
Yeah, because he'd been to those funerals. He'd been to those funerals where people...
He knew all the information.
Where people got clean for a couple years and then went back to the level that they were, and that was it for him. He'd been there. Mm-hmm. But it is important to say to the living addict, you're going to reap what you sow if you don't stop. And it's also important to say for the survivor, if you lose someone, that person reaped what they sowed. That's not your fault. And he's in a band and he had to watch his brother deteriorate and waste away. And I think it's healthy to say, hey, man, these are decisions you made.
Yep.
And it's not like, haha, you're reaping what you sow. I look at it more like this is his way of letting himself off the hook for failing, Lane and not being able to rescue him from his drug addiction. But
what do they say? You can lead a horse to water.
It took 2 weeks before someone found the homie, and it was Jerry that actually found him.
Oh God!
So again, like to put your friend in that situation, man, is I got a friend that I used to work with, and the story is that she committed suicide. It's like, okay, fine, let's go with that story. And her son is the one that found her, and try to cut her down and everything. Like that's some selfish shit, man.
How old was he?
He was 17 when it happened. He's probably 19, 20 years old now.
That'll fuck you up for life.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so my point is, this song is really, really healthy, I believe. And I do think it's hopeful to a degree. And I just think that, I'm glad that he's outworking that pain, because those guys were together for a very long time, and I'm sure he tried like mad. And the other thing is, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. Like, I'm sure he had his drinking binges and all the rest of it. They're young kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so easy for you to say, oh, if I was more straight edge, maybe this wouldn't happen. So I'm just very glad that he's able to say that you reap what you sow, and understanding that it wasn't his fault. It was a decision that another grown man made. Yep. And a terribly selfish one at that had massive implications, unfortunately. This is a silent count for me.
Yeah.
Just because we've had those situations, hearing those messages, getting those messages from people, and I'll tell you what, loving someone with a drug addiction is one of the most painful things, because it's just a roller coaster shit. And you're and now the next time, like with the next one, like I'm not gonna completely close my heart off to it. Like God put somebody in our path, and we're gonna help him, but even the celebration now is gonna be tainted, because I'm like, yeah, this shit could creep up on us in 5 years though and take you.
See, that's so interesting, because I knew that all along. So I was upset about it, but that's like, I guess, the pessimist side of myself.
I knew it. I knew it was a possibility. I don't know. It's a possibility, but you just don't think it's a probability. So anyway, it's a really, really, really good song. Really good song. Really deep, and it's actually pretty unique. Like, I've never really heard of a song where a person's talking to their deceased loved one and said, hey, man, hey, sis, that was your decision, bro. Like, that's powerful. That's powerful. Really good song. Shout out to the big homie.
Yep.
We are still in the middle of our DJ Mega Stream. So we shall be coming back after this commercial break. If you're in the chat right now, if you're in regular YouTube world, what can I do for you, dear listener? Vin out.
Sori out.
Down.